Welcome to the Fantasy Football Channel. We are the Schluter Bros. It is post NFL draft. And today we are going to be coming at you quick, dirty, fresh. We're going to throw our Dynasty rookie mock draft teams on here, and we're just going to mock it for the first time and just see how she shakes. Adam, how you doing today?
Man, I am doing wonderful. How you doing over there?
I am doing wonderful. Hollywood.
Yeah, Hollywood, baby. I'm excited about this one. We have yet to do a mock dynasty rookie draft as our first one. I'm excited. You wanna get right into this here or what?
Let's just jump in. I'm gonna share my screen.
As you're sharing, I'm gonna go over the details here. It is 10 team. It is a super flex league, so we do have an extra quarterback slot in there if you see a couple of those fly off the board, and it is PPR. Kyle, you got anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, as we're going to go through these picks, obviously the computer ones are going to go fast. Just Adam and I in here today with our dynasty teams. And, this is a good way for you to see where all the players went if you haven't paid attention, right? So we'll kind of just touch on that a bit as we talk through our teams and our mocked selections.
Yeah, and the last anecdote is my team is absolutely trash. That's why you see me at the 101. I adopted a team a year ago, and Kyle's team is really good, a little bit older, a little bit more ready to win now. So if you see us drafting that way, I mean, that's what we got.
All right, Adam, you are on the clock.
How about that? I don't
Doesn't
think
that feel good?
Oh, it feels great. I love that noise. It feels great over here. And at the 101, it feels good. It gives you hope for a new season, new chance. Without a doubt, there's no question mark who's going at the 101 and 99.9% of drafts. That is Jeremiah Love. The only question mark with this pick is Arizona having a crowded backfield. 4 running backs there can play. However, I think at the end of this year, you're going to see Jeremiah Love as number 1, Tyler Algier as the backup, and that is going to be their backfield.
After Adam takes Love, it goes Mendoza, Tate, Tyson, Mekhi Lemon, Price, who unfortunately is who I would love to snag at the 7 pick. I have a bad feeling, though, he's going to go right before me in the actual rookie draft as well as this mock like it just happened.
Yep. It's pretty interesting about these first 4 because before the NFL draft, it was Love, Mendoza, Tate, and Mekhi Lemon. However, Tyson getting drafted to the Saints, they think he is going to be much more productive with more targets, more target share. So that's why he's creeping up a little early in these drafts.
Yeah, so Mendoza went second. He obviously went to the Raiders, projects as the only starting rookie quarterback this year, barring injury that we see right now. And you could make a case for taking a quarterback if your team is in desperate need of them, and like this league where it's a super flex. Otherwise, most people are probably going to take Love. And then Tate to Tennessee. That's interesting. Obviously, he was the high receiver pick, and then Tyson after that. He goes to Tennessee with Cam Ward's second year, and Ridley is still there. And then also they acquired the other guy from the Giants who I traded you for. What's his name? Wan'Dale Robinson. So that's
and they have Shimmer and DK there too.
Yeah, yep. So that's kind of how their wide receiver room is shaking out now.
It looks like deeper.
It's deep. It's good for the team and probably the quarterback, but it's starting to become a lot of mouths to feed. Depending how it shakes out, I obviously have Wan'Dale, so I don't know if that's good or bad for me yet.
Yeah, it's a fair concern.
Tyson to the Saints. The Saints took him early. I think he went 8th overall, if I'm recalling correctly. And yes, he was someone we talked about when we initially talked about the rookie divas as athleticism and one of the highest upside players, but he's kind of the bigger gamble player. He's dealt with some injuries and some inconsistency. Love the landing spot, though. Love that landing spot for him.
He's going to be able to produce and be an immediate fantasy impact with being the number 2 wide receiver over there next to Chris Olave. So.
Yep. And then Mekhi Lemon, was he the one the Eagles traded up for? One of these guys they traded up. I think it was Mekhi Lemon. They traded up a few picks to get him, and they're making
they traded up for him.
Yeah, they traded up to get him. So we still don't know exactly what the deal with is AJ Brown, and it will likely be the start of the season, the middle of the season, the end of the season, and there's still going to be drama around A.J. Brown because that's just what happens with him.
Yeah, unfortunately for Mekhi Lemon, going to be the 3rd wide receiver deep on a team that can't throw the football well in the Eagles, he is not going to be on my radar this year or for any dynasty drafts.
Yeah, it's tough because you love the player, love the prospect. In theory, it's a good landing spot, but they got to get the kinks worked out on that offense in the passing game, I think.
Yeah.
And maybe a new offensive coordinator and this pick, maybe this will be what Jalen Hurts needs to be able to throw the ball downfield a little better. Another option in the slot, right? Like maybe that's what it takes.
Yeah. I mean, I know you get 8 hours to pick over there, but I mean, any consensus here? What are we looking at?
Oh, all right. Well, I saw Price go, and then so I'm regretting getting to my pick. Anyways, Price is the guy I'm liking here just because the Seattle backfield, they shipped off Kenny Walker, of course. So then we have Charbonnet post ACL injury, I believe. That's what it was, right?
Hmm?
All right. And then they also have the guy from Green Bay. They got Emmanuel Wilson there. So it looks like Emmanuel Wilson and Price will probably be the workhorses toward the beginning of the season and whenever Charbonnet comes back. Then I think it gets a little crowded personally. Do you believe in Price enough where he can emerge as like the 60% of the work, or is it just going to be a full committee and you're going to be, you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
this is really interesting. I'm glad you brought that up because normally it's always going to be the rookie's going to get the volume towards the back end of the year. However, with this situation, with Charbonnet come with an injury, it is very much flipped in that, and I see that playing to Price's favor. Where if he comes out of the gate and if he
Strong.
does what he is supposed to do, and he's the hot hand, there's no way they're going to be like, yeah, let's give everything back to Charbonnet. They will ride the hot hand as any team does. So if
Yeah.
Price comes out the gates hot and he holds on to the football, you are looking at a steal there who could emerge as the RB1 this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the upside. And, that's the running back too off our consensus from where he was drafted. Good offense, good offensive line. They're going to coach that wants to run the ball a lot.
Yeah, good
So-
offensive line. The best offensive line you're getting a running back this year in this year's draft. I mean, without a doubt.
Yeah. So I like him there. And then it's on me at 7. And top of the board, you have
Good on ya.
Casey Concepcion. You have the tight end, Sadiq. Concepcion went to Cleveland. Sadiq went to the Jets. And then you have that Omar Cooper went to the Jets. And then Ty Simpson, the Rams drafted that quarterback. Maybe not to Sean McVay. You want to say what Sean McVay reacted to that?
You really just don't want to make a pick right now. Are you just still contemplating it this hard, or what's going on over there?
No, I'm just talking through these players and letting everybody know where the landing spots are and what's going on.
The Simpson was in draft was interesting to say the least because Sean McVay did not have an astounding response. I think he was pretty disappointed for his guy Matt Stafford, and what it seems like is Matt Stafford's not going to be done in 1 year. So I think there's a little bit of incongruencies there between the GM, the ownership making the picks, and what the head coach's game plan was. So we'll see. That's interesting. However, you think about the Green Bay Packers when they draft a quarterback, put him behind a veteran for a couple of years. That's the way to do it. That's the only proven way to do it. So I don't hate it regardless of that.
Okay. Okay, so I probably will take KC here, mostly because I do believe Cleveland is in desperate need of receivers, and he does have some upside going into this year, and I'm mostly in a win now team. You can't go wrong with this receiver here. The running backs, I like a lot of these guys here. So on the way back, I'll probably try and snag one of these guys, whichever one falls. We can talk about some of the landing spots as they get drafted. So here I'd probably just take what I believe the best available. So that's probably KC.
Okay, after Concepcion, we got Sadiq Cooper, quarterback in Simpson. Boston, another Cleveland wide receiver, which I'm going to touch on in a minute. Another tight end in Stowers. Coleman, Denver running back. That's an interesting situation with another crowded backfield. All right, Kyle, with your pick, I'm going to poke at it quite a bit here. I know it might be the best talent available there. However, we got another wide receiver coming in right behind them in Boston. We have Jerry Jeudy, who's there. So that means 3 wide receivers deep. And most importantly, we do not have a proven quarterback on that offense yet. And the offense in general and team in general is trash. I think you're buying a little too low on the team here. But again, I think you took the best talent available. There was just 3 question marks I listed right there, and I had to burn you on something. So I did.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I don't also believe in the quarterback room there myself.
Yeah.
But with the other players around him, like now we come back and basically one of those running backs went. So now I still have my share of the same running backs, and I was able to just grab a elite talent receiver there, for this draft, I would say.
Yeah.
Cooper went. I also don't love the landing spots with the Jets for him. Because you could say the same thing about the quarterback room there. It's Geno Smith. Sure, he can provide fantasy value for his targets, but I don't love it. And then the quarterback out of the Rams, I mean, that seems a little early for that pick. And if
Way
you're
early.
somebody that wants to just throw a quarterback on your taxi squad because you need them in the future, then that's what that's going to be. And then Boston, I like Boston as well, but if I'm going off of these two players and they're right in front of me, I probably would need to take KC. But I do like Boston, and yes, they both went to Cleveland, and I don't know that I love that, but we'll kind of see how they emerge there. Philadelphia took a tight end. That's who was drafted here. There's so many tight ends that were drafted in this one, and for the mock draft too this year. There's probably going to be a lot of tight ends, and
You know, and
I would rather just wait. And I guarantee there's going to be guys you can find that are productive as tight ends.
you say that. However, the last 2 or 3 years tells us if you get a top end tight end, you are getting production in year one. Brock Bowers. And then last year we had two of them in the Colts and the Bears guys. So you are getting production from these
Yeah,
guys.
I guess if you
this
can
year,
find
maybe
one that
less
is
with
like an
Sowers in
elite,
Philly.
if you find one that's an elite receiving option that goes to a good fit, yes.
I'm just
But
saying
I
if
would
you're a
even
team that
rather
needs
trade like for a Loveland personally, or someone like that who was drafted last year.
Yeah, it just feels to me like the tight ends are able to progress in the NFL much quicker than a wide receiver is. That's just what I'm seeing the past couple of years in terms of how quickly these guys are producing.
Yeah, in the past that's not so much, but lately that does seem to be changing with
Mm-hmm.
Bowers, right, and then Warren.
Mm-hmm. Loveland.
So those are variables. But in this draft, also, I mean, I have a couple of tight ends already, but you're still able to pick up guys and find guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, so I'd rather take some of these other players. Jonah Coleman didn't go to Denver right before me. Coleman in Denver, they now have Dobbins and Harvey. Harvey, I still see as the pass catching third down, more so specialist. Dobbins is the kind of the between the tackles, first and second down guy who is a little older. So I see him more
27.
being that, but I don't think there's a lot of loyalty. And him with this pick, it also kind of muddies the waters for everybody a little bit in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if anything, it's for when Dobbins isn't on the team in a year or two. It's going to be his replacement for a year or two, and that's what they're looking at.
Yeah. So next up, since I took a receiver, I'm going running back here. Nick Singleton, Emmett Johnson, Mike Washington. Those are the top three off the board who I like in this next tier. Mike Washington did go to Vegas. So, Genty's going to be the guy. Even if the new head coach says he wants to use multiple running backs, it's hard to really want to get behind anybody that's behind Genty that's not named Genty. Emmett Johnson in Kansas City is interesting. He was, when we did our running backs, he was maybe the top two or three who we had projected before the draft. But Nick Singleton, I like. I believe he did have an injury his last year in college and wasn't quite as productive. Little bigger guy, 6 foot, 225. He did go to Tennessee. Tennessee has an aging Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. So I just feel like there could be more opportunities for him to emerge in Tennessee. So I'd probably go Nick Singleton.
Okay.
Take it away with some of these other ones, and why don't you fill in with the second round of your thoughts?
All righty. We're going to go right down the line here. Bell, Washington, Johnson, Allen, Bernard, Sarrett, Baltimore wide receiver, Carson Beck. It's a bit premature for that, but that's all right. Claire, Rams tight end, Nussmeier, Aller, another quarterbacks are flying.
A lot
Drew
of quarterbacks in the third round.
And with that said, I'm going to stop for Drew Aller in Pittsburgh. I think that between him and Carson Beck, those are your only other two quarterbacks that may see the field this year. Drew Aller is a big man, and Pittsburgh likes those Big Ben type players, 6'5", 235. They like those big bodies. They play through injury a little bit better. So if you need a quarterback, those are the other two to look at, just because we're looking at the quarterback room, and quite frankly, the Steelers is the worst if Rodgers does not come back. You're looking at a Mason Rudolph and another trash quarterback. But if Rodgers comes back, forget what I just said there. Klubnik quarterback, Delp, New Orleans tight end. I am back on the clock at 3.7. And ignore the columns here, guys. We have traded picks. So that's why Dave Sucks at Fantasy Football is on the clock. Let me take a peek here. Oh, actually, as I see Brazil at the top, I don't hate that one bit. Chris Brazil, Carolina Panthers. There's only, in my opinion, one really proven wide receiver on that team, and he is going to be going into his second year. And this guy is 6'5" and 200 pounds and can absolutely be a machine. I'm going Chris Brazil without a doubt here, just because I think it's the quietest wide receiver room compared to some of these other rooms, and actually some of these all need some help. But nonetheless, I'm going with Chris Brazil. I think he has the most chance to prove himself. Carolina Panthers are going to be behind. They're going to have to throw the ball a little bit more. So that's my logic there on that one. I like Brazil. Big body.
Okay, then Branch, who went to Atlanta, receiver. Moss, running back, Miami. Claiborne, running back, Minnesota. Claiborne, I like Claiborne here. He was the guy who had a 4.340 at the combine. He goes to Minnesota with an aging Aaron Jones. And obviously, Jordan Mason is still there. Not much for speed on him. He's a little bit smaller, 5'10, 195. So PPR, I mean, that could be an interesting player who, if anything, Aaron Jones gets injured a lot. So if anything happens to Aaron Jones, you could see some production out of him from a rookie pick. Otherwise, the speed there. A tight end to Jacksonville. And then quarterback Baltimore, quarterback Cleveland, and then I'm back on the clock. So a lot of quarterbacks have actually gone in the third and fourth round here. It's kind of a little surprising, but
Yeah.
like you said, Aller, I think, is a fine taxi squad guy just to see. And then the same thing with,
What are you looking at here? Because I'm one pick after you, so this kind of matters here.
oh, it kind of matters. Well, it's still just a mock. So stop.
Well,
Are you taking notes of what I'm doing now for the real thing?
no, I don't give a
You gonna
crap.
snipe me?
I'm just wondering what you're looking at because
All right.
I got them down to 2, so you're gonna make my decision for me depending on where you go.
Yeah, so I went receiver, running back in my first two. I traded away my third to Adam last year for Wandell. Top available on the board, Antonio Williams, receiver who went to Washington. Malachi Fields, receiver who went to the Giants. Ted Hurst, Tampa Bay receiver. Jacoby Lane, Baltimore receiver. Those are the top four on the board.
Yep.
And they are interesting. This group of receivers. Malachi Fields is interesting to me. 6'4", 222. The Giants receiving room that currently looks like Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton, Darnell Mooney, Calvin Austin, Malachi, Isaiah Hodgins. So maybe he could emerge there. Running backs, you have Jamari Taylor, who is also interesting. He went to Jacksonville as they vacate the room with ETN as he went to the Saints. So it's kind of like a low end running back here that might have some upside. I do think Tootin is going to emerge as one of the big values in the running back for redraft this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of the other guys I'm not as high on really at all.
Yeah.
So for me, I'd probably just stash one of these receivers. So we're going to take Malachi Fields.
Okay. You made my decision for me. Those are the two I was looking at between Malachi Fields and Antonio Williams. Malachi Fields I wanted because of his frame going on the Giants, which is going to be a very up-and-coming team. Mm-hmm. However, you did leave me who I wanted more in Antonio Williams for one very important reason. Antonio Williams is easily going to become the number 2 wide receiver on this team as long as he lives up to the hype. Why? Because outside of Scary Terry, you got Van Jefferson, Dyami Brown. Are you Treylon Burks? I mean, are you kidding? There's no one else on this team. Luke McCaffrey, the wide receiver room is so pitiful on this Commanders team. You have serious value in Antonio Williams this year and for future years because he's going to get some targets this year. So without a doubt, going there. Let's have a little bounce back for the Commanders offense, who has struggled mightily last year after an amazing first year.
Okay. And then 3 tight ends. I have Adam takes Antonio Williams, Dallas, Cincinnati, and Tennessee, all drafted tight ends. Baltimore running back Randall, and then another tight end of Pittsburgh. Thoughts on that? Any of those last ones?
That's a lot of tight ends flying off there. Pittsburgh likes to use their tight ends, especially when Rodgers is there. So does Dallas. The other two, I'm not worried about one bit.
Pittsburgh also drafted that receiver out of Alabama.
They've added some wide receiver weapons. They were trying to get A-Rod back between Pittman, the 2 draft picks. They're like, come on, Aaron, we couldn't have done anything more for you.
Here he is right here, Bernard. He ended up going late in the second round in our draft in this rookie mock. Yeah, and the Baltimore drafted that receivers as well, 6'2", 13. I'm also high on those guys. The second round there, interesting. How do you think this is going to go compared to our actual rookie draft?
Less quarterbacks. I think, after Beck, I think less quarterbacks, and outside of that, probably a couple more receivers flying off a little early. So I guess that's why I would switch up. A little less of these quarterbacks.
Do you think the top 5 is a lock?
For quarterbacks?
No, for picks in general. Love, Mendoza, Tate, Tyson, Lemon.
Throw in 6 with Price because if someone needs a running back in top 5, they're taking Price. So therefore, you throw in those top 6. I think that is the top 6. You interchange that order however you want to, unless someone really likes Sadiq and needs a tight end. But again, I think those top 6, you lock that in. 2 running
And that-
backs, three receivers, 1 quarterback. That's your top 6 right there.
You'd stop it there.
I would stop there and say interchange those however the
So
team
I'm
needs are.
right at the pick of the cutoff.
You are SOL in that, I'm afraid. But maybe we'll
All
see how it goes.
Yeah. And then you ended up getting, who did you end up draft here with that pick? Oh, that wide receiver out of Carolina.
Yep.
And then out of Washington. Gotcha. To
Yep.
pair with Love. Okay. Sure. Cool.
Why not? All right. Well, this was fun. Let us know what you guys think. If you get some critiques for us, you want to blow us up, light us up. Come on now.
Yeah. Comment below. Let me know what I should do with the 7th rookie pick. All right, folks. Thanks for tuning to the Fantasy Football channel. We'll catch you guys in the next one.